Hello everyone and welcome to Clay Formations. You know, the human brain is capable of so many wonderful things, from Einstein's theory of relativity to Leonardo da Vinci's creative masterpiece, the Mona Lisa. My brain, on the other hand, that's a different story. My creative process just sort of willy-nilly walks around until all of a sudden, oh yeah, we get a brain fart and we're just gonna go with that. That's right, my friends, we are going to make an actual brain fart. But first things first, I need a glove. Sweet. Okay, let's get some glue out of this thing. What the? Come on now, you stupid glue. Ah, there you are. Good. Ah, now for the satisfying part. I get to finger paint with the glue. So satisfying. I just spread it all around, and then I make a wood sandwich. Just press it down, get all the air bubbles out, and then I'll clamp it with some clamps. And after I squeeze it all together, this isn't quite as fun as smearing it around, because I gotta clear off all the glue squeeze off the sides. Now we'll let that dry and we'll go ahead and we'll attach the wire to the wooden egg with super glue and baking soda. This will give us a really good bond. And then after that, we will take Epoxy Sculpt and put it around the edge of the wire, and that will give us a really good strong base. After all, you wouldn't want to let a brain fart slip now, would you? Okay, now that the base is dry, we can take the clamps off. We can take it out to the garage to let it have a wrestling match with a grinder. And the winner is the base, because it's nice and smooth. Now we'll take the egg and we'll measure it between it and the base. And obviously that's too long, so we're going to have to cut a bit off. With these little chompers right here, let's commence the cutting. And then we'll check it again, and that's about right. Now that the distance is established, we can take this and attach it to the beast. And then finally getting around to what we're supposed to be doing on this channel, which is sculpting. I went to Hobby Lobby to get some clay, and instead of getting the dinosaur, which is super Sculpey, I ended up getting Living Doll. So, what should I do? Should I use the Living Doll or the super Sculpey? I think I'll go with a Living Doll, because brains need to be a little bit translucent, so we'll see how it goes. I really hope I don't end up regretting this later. So we'll cut some pieces off of it, and we'll start to condition it. Doesn't seem to be too bad. Kind of crumbly, but a little bit sticky too. But I find out later that that's kind of a plus. What I've noticed lately is the thicker that I make the Sculpey, the less it cracks, so I'm going to keep this at about 1/4 of an inch. My past sculptures, I usually end up making it a little too thin, and further along in the process, I end up not being able to carve as much out as I would like to. And since 99% of our brains are wrinkles and crinkles, I was going to need a lot of room to be able to carve those out. The only real drawback to Living Doll is, as you can see, I'm pushing with my thumbs and using my index fingers to hold my hands in place. What happened was, after I pushed the clay with my thumbs, I left these huge indents of my index fingers on the other side. So if you ever want to use Living Doll, make sure that you're not using your other hands to push from the other side, because you will distort your sculpture. Unless you don't mind going back and redoing something. Frankly, I don't like doing it. I just like doing it once and then moving on to the next part. What I'm doing here is establishing the center line between the left hemisphere and the right hemisphere of the brain. And I am most definitely trying to distract you from the fact that this may just be 2 lima beans glued together, or a most magnificent looking butt. I really don't understand why all my sculptures in the beginning stages end up looking like things that I don't want them to look like. It's like last month when I worked on Snazzy Spirit. When I first started on him, he didn't look like a Snazzy Spirit. He looked like not a corn dog. Well, I must say it really does look like a nice looking butt. And I guess that's the gatekeeper of the flatulence, so I guess maybe I am on the right track. Who knows? I guess you'll have to let me know in the comments. It really does look like a big butt. Okay, enough goofing around. I'm sorry, I'm just cracking myself up here. Let's turn this butt into a brain, shall we? Okay, what we're doing here is I'm carving out what is called the sulci, which are the grooves in the brain. And the part that kind of looks like spaghetti are called gyri. And there's your anatomy lesson for this episode of Clay Formations. Use that information and impress your friends. The funny thing is I sculpted a brain that was a lot smaller before I started my YouTube channel. And I said, well, sculpting a brain really shouldn't be that hard. It's just, a bunch of little curves and lines. But in reality, it's not. It's kind of difficult because they're not really a bunch of tubes that are squished in. They're solid, but they've literally become wrinkles over time. And it's said that the more wrinkles you have in your brain, the smarter you are. So, in reality, this is the only place on your body where you can have a lot of wrinkles and that be a good thing. So the more wrinkles you have, the smarter you are. That's right, be all you can be. Now go out there and wrinkle your brain. And the way I'm wrinkling this brain is with my ball styluses and my loop tools and my paintbrush. The tricky part about this is you don't want to make the grooves too deep. You want them just deep enough to create the impression of roundness. If you do cut them too deep, it really does end up looking like spaghetti. Now it's just a matter of adding all the refinements and little details, and we can consider this brain thoroughly wrinkled. Now, as you know, a brain fart needs to have a surprised expression, and to get that surprised expression, we'll need a couple of eyeballs. So we'll paint a couple of these glass marbles and we'll set them aside to dry. And of course, if you have a set of surprised eyeballs, you're also going to need a set of surprised arms. And after all, what in the world are you supposed to do when you have a brain fart? Put your hands in your pockets? Well, you can't do that because a brain doesn't have any pockets. So I guess we'll just have to put them in here like this. Now let's see where I can put the eyes. That's about right. Now I'll take my ball stylus and make a space for the eyes to go in. Now, since the passing of gas that this little guy is going to let go, I wanted him to have an extremely surprised expression. So his eyes are going to be quite wide and quite surprised. We'll add some eye wrinkles to his top lid, and then add the bottom lid and do the same thing. And as you can see, I have nothing clever or witty to add to this part of the narration. I'm just sitting here and enjoying it the same way you are. Well, at least I hope you're enjoying the video as much as I am. Actually, we're about halfway through, so I kind of hope that you're still here. Are you still here? Am I just talking to myself? Oh, I think I'm just talking to myself. Is there anybody out there? Let me know in the comments if you're still here. We're at 8 minutes and 21 seconds into the video. Oh, we're adding the mouth now. I know I can say something clever and witty about this. As you can see, he's got quite the surprised expression. Oh no, I'm brain farting. Well, not me, he is. Okay, just a few more refinements and we'll be taking this bottom burping blob of gray matter to the oven. Now, while the booty brain bomber is in the oven, we'll go ahead and make him a pair of hands. After I flattened them out, I noticed that they were a little bit too big, so I smoothed them out, and then I used a little cutter to make them a little smaller. That looks about like the right size. Now I'll just need to round out the corners a little bit. Now we'll go ahead and cut out his fingers. And then once we get the fingers rounded and shaped, we'll go ahead and put them into the correct pose. Then we'll add the thumb. No hand would be complete without the opposing thumb. That is one fine looking hand. Now let's go check on the baking butt burping brain. Yep, he's nice and baked and ready to have his arms attached. There's the right arm and the left arm. Yep, that looks like a pretty good pose if I let out an air tulip. Okay, instead of paint, I'm going to be using some red pastel powder and apply it to all the grooves of this butt bubbling brain. And while we're doing that, I would just like to clear the air, so to speak. If I could just be serious for one moment and have us all come to the agreement on the subject of farts, they are funny. It doesn't matter how old you are. It doesn't matter how mature you think you are. Those stinky little cheek sneakers are funny. And there's not a single person on earth who is immune to their surprise appearances. And you can't tell me that every time you hear one of those fanny frogs, you don't let out a giggle. So don't be ashamed of those sphincter stinkers. Just let one of those rump raspberries go and proudly stand up and say, yeah, it wasn't me, he did it, or she, whatever the case may be. That is correct. I believe in equality. Females are not exempt from the hiney honker either. I'm sorry, I can't do it anymore. I was going to see how many I could get out before I just couldn't stop laughing. So, why don't we get back to what we're doing here? Okay. What were we doing? Oh, okay. I'm gluing the wire back onto the base with the baking soda and the super glue mixture. Now I'm going to take some air dry clay and bulk up the wire a little bit. And as you can see by its location, there's no doubt of where his butt trumpet is going to be. And we will use the brown roving to represent the butt putt emitting from his O-ring oboe. Okay, I've got to stop. We're working on the roving now, and I'm painting the base here brown so I don't have to make the roving too thick. Now we'll take some Mod Podge and we'll apply the roving on top of the little fart cone. Okay, now that we've got the little flatulent smoke running in the right direction, I'll roll up some little balls to make some little round fart clouds. And now you have to be precise about this because it's got to look like it's hitting the ground and poofing out like a little brown fart cloud would. Although I don't know what a little brown fart cloud looks like. Okay, anyway, let's do the arms and the hands. I painted the arms and now I'm shadowing the insides of the hands with some red powder. And I'll paint the inside of his very surprised mouth. And now we'll cover him with a Liquitex satin varnish, which worked very well, by the way. Okay, just a few more final touches and this methane blowing brain fart is complete. Hey there, if you've made it this far, you think farts are as funny as I do, and that makes you guys my kind of people. Thank you for joining me into the foray of the fragrant, flatulent brain. And may all of your thoughts and ideas be sweet smelling and not of the stinky variety. Like and subscribe if you dare. Everyone take care, and we'll see you next time.